Hello there, this is Beth Gaff, and I am the technology trainer here at the Peabody Public Library. And first off, I want to thank you for joining me today in a class that is very beneficial to anyone trying to learn how to use their computer. Today we're going to be talking about anything then everything that's related to computers. So if you're trying to learn some basic techniques or you just want to learn how to set up your computer, this would be the class for you. So I am so happy that you're here, and I hope that you find everything that you need in here. I have used a lot of GCFLearnFree.org's information in this class today, so I'm hoping that this will help you get along a little bit better than a whole bunch of me talking. So there are a lot of videos in here that's going to help you get along on those computers. If you ever have any questions or you need any further assistance, please do not hesitate to get a hold of me. My information is right here on the screen for you, and you can contact me, and I can do the best that I can to try to help you with some of those computer issues that you may be having. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with everything computers. All right, well, let's get this going. Just like every class that I offer through our channel, I always let you know what's going to be covered in class. I do this not only so you kind of know what's going on, but I also do this so you're able to jump forward. So if some of these items on here you're already somewhat familiar with, you would be able to then just kind of jump forward and go to an area that you would like to know more about. So today we're going to be covering what is a computer. We use them, we have them, but what is a computer and what exactly is it going to do for us? We're also going to talk about the basic parts of a computer. There's a nice little video to show you that, and then we're going to go through an interactive keyboard together on that. We're going to be talking about buttons and ports on your computer, as well as going through an interactive front and back case type of activity that we're going to do together. We're going to talk about the inside of your desktop computer. If you have a desktop at home, you might want to know what some of those components are inside of there and what makes it go. We're also going to be talking about understanding your laptop computer. So if you have a laptop computer and you want a little bit more information about the way that it works and things that are involved with that, then that section would definitely be something that you would want to hit on or touch base with. We're going to be talking about those mobile devices. Everybody's got them. We're always pulling them out. So let's talk a little bit about what it is exactly they can do for you, and so on. One thing about computers is that they all have operating systems or OS systems. We're going to be talking about those, a couple of those different operating systems that are available out there on those computers. We're also going to be talking about understanding applications or apps on those smartphones and tablets. You have those applications or apps, as well as on computers. You can get those too. So there's a nice little handy video to kind of show you those apps and how you get them. Now you've got a computer, you probably want to know how to set it up. So there is definitely going to be a section on setting up that computer for yourself. And because it is your first computer and you're just getting going, you may want to know some startup tips to get you going on that. So we're going to be talking about getting started with your first computer. Now that you're familiar with what an operating system is, you kind of need to get to know what your operating system can do for you. So we're going to go over Windows, we're going to go over Mac, and then we're going to go over the interfaces of each one of those. Being able to connect to the internet. Maybe you have internet, maybe you're debating on getting internet, or maybe you just don't want it at all. This section will kind of get you going on what to do with that and what the internet can do for you. We're also going to be talking about getting started with the internet, and that's something that we can do together. We're going to understand the cloud. We always talk about, oh, it's in the cloud. But what is it? What is the cloud? What can it do for us, and what's the purpose, and why should I have it? So we're going to be talking about that. It's pretty important to make sure that you keep your computer clean. There's definitely different ways of doing that, and that isn't just dusting and things like that. It's also cleaning out the inside of your computer. So that's a part of that protecting your computer that we're going to be talking about as well. You want to create a safe workspace for yourself, and we're going to talk about techniques that can help you create that safe workspace and some basic troubleshooting techniques. So there is a lot we're going to cover. This class is going to be quite large. And again, this information comes to us from gcflearnfree.org. They are a fantastic resource. And at any time, if you need any other types of resources, YouTube would be an excellent resource as well. YouTube is owned by Google, but anything that you want to know how to do, from making cookies to working with your computer, YouTube would be the place to go for that. So we are going to go ahead and get started with what is a computer, and it's just going to follow right in this order. A computer is an electronic device that manipulates information or data. It has the ability to store, retrieve, and process data. You may already know that you can use a computer to type documents, send email, play games, and browse the web. You can also use it to edit or create spreadsheets, presentations, and even videos. I've got a video here that I'd like to show you through GCF Learn Free that pretty much sums up what exactly a computer is and what it can do for you.
Today, computers are all around us. From desktop computers to smartphones, they are changing the way that we live our lives. But have you ever asked yourself, what exactly is a computer? A computer is an electronic device that manipulates information or data. The computer sees data as ones and zeros, but it knows how to combine them into more complex things, such as a photograph, a movie, a website, a game, and much more. Computers use a combination of hardware and software. Hardware is any physical part of the computer, which includes all of the internal components and also the external parts like the monitor and the keyboard. Software is any set of instructions that tells the hardware what to do, such as a web browser, media player, or word processor. Now, when most people say computer, they're talking about a personal computer. This can be a desktop computer or a laptop computer, which has basically the same capabilities, but in a more portable package. Personal computers come in two main styles, PC and Mac. PCs are the most common type. There are many different companies that make them, and they usually come with the Microsoft Windows operating system. Macs, or Macintosh computers, are all made by one company, Apple, and they come with the Mac OS X operating system. Computers come in many other shapes and sizes. Mobile phones, tablets, game consoles, and even TVs have built-in computers, although they may not do everything a desktop or a laptop can. There's another type of computer that plays an important role in our lives: servers. A server serves information to other computers on a network. In fact, every time you use the internet, web servers deliver the web pages that you want to see to your computer. Servers are also used in many offices to store and share files. As you can see, there are many different types of computers out there, and they affect our lives in a variety of ways.
In this section of the class today, we're going to be talking about the basic parts of a computer. The basic parts of a desktop computer are the computer case, the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, and the power cord. Each part plays an important role whenever you use a computer. This video here is going to kind of sum up some of that information for you, so you're a little bit more familiar with the different components and parts of your computer.
A desktop computer is made up of several basic parts, and in this video we're going to show you what these parts are and what they're used for. The computer case contains the main components of the computer. This is where the actual processing happens. Today, most cases are tower cases, which means they stand up vertically. Sometimes you may see a horizontal case, which is often called a desktop case. In order to view anything on your computer, you'll need to have a monitor. The monitor connects to the video card inside your computer to display images and text on the screen. Most monitors have LCD or LED displays, which can be made very thin so they don't use much desk space. To save even more space, you can buy an all-in-one computer which combines the monitor and the computer case into a single unit. To interact with your computer, you'll need a keyboard and mouse. Keyboards come in different shapes and sizes, for example, ergonomic and wireless keyboards. The mouse is used to control the mouse pointer on the screen. It can either be optical, which has an electrical eye on the bottom, or mechanical, which uses a rolling ball to detect movement. Some people prefer to use a trackball or touchpad instead of a mouse. These use less desk space since they don't need to move around when you're using them. So those are the basic parts of a desktop computer. As you can see, each part plays an important role, and you'll become very familiar with these parts as you gain more experience with your computer.
Okay, so I hope so far you are having a pretty good time with the class and you're learning a few things. At this time, I would like to go through this interactive keyboard to kind of give you an idea of what all these pieces are. And I know they talked about it a little bit in the video, but I wanted to go through it myself. So we're going to start right here. This ESC key that's in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard is your escape key. And this allows you to stop a function or action. So for example, if a web page is taking too long to load, you can press this key and it will stop loading it. You can also use this key to get out of certain types of programs that you're in, as well as other things that the escape key can do for you. So that would be your escape key. Now we've got this whole row of F keys. These are called our function keys. They're normally labeled to you from F1 through F12. You may even sometimes see other options on there, like lowering the brightness, the sound, things like that if you're working with a laptop computer. But the function keys, these keys are used as shortcuts for common tasks. So for example, opening programs, F1 is for your help. So if you're not real familiar about what all your F keys can do for you, you might want to just try them out. You're not going to hurt anything. The computer is not going to blow up, I promise you. They're all there for a reason. So you can push on those at any time and find out what exactly those can do for you. In this section over here, we have our print screen, our scroll lock, and your pause break section. Some of this has come down off the screen, but I'll try to lower this so you can see it. The print screen, scroll lock, and pause keys at the top right corner of the keyboard. The print key takes a picture of your screen. So it's called a screenshot. So if you're familiar with a screenshot, then this would be really beneficial to you, especially if you're doing presentations like I am today and things along those lines. You can edit these, you can save them to graphics, and so on. You also have a scroll lock and a pause break. These keys are rarely used today, and some keyboards don't even have them anymore. But if you have them on there, you probably won't be using them very much, so I wouldn't really be too concerned about those, but that print screen is a very valuable resource. All right, so your tab key is used to create indents when you're doing a Word document. You can also use this to fill out certain kinds of forms online. You can hit that tab and it'll take you over to the other areas and switch you between the fields. So this can definitely help you when you're filling out applications or any kind of form online. Obviously, you have your alphanumeric keys. These are the main part of the keyboard that includes letters and numbers and the space bar. So this is how we type that information in. You have a backspace key. This allows you to erase the characters to the left of the cursor. You also have an insert and a delete. The insert switches between insert mode, which inserts new text without deleting anything. And then you have the other mode, the overtype mode, which deletes text after the cursor and as you type on. So depending on the way that you have your insert key pressed, it's either going to type over letters that you already have there, or it's going to add letters and keep the letters that you already have. So just keep that in mind. You also have the delete button, and this erases things to the right of the cursor, where a backspace does to the left, the delete does it to the right. The home and the end field, these move the cursor to the beginning or the end of a current line, and you can use this pretty much anywhere on the internet, in Word documents, spreadsheets, whatever you're using. Your page up and down, these scroll documents pages, they scroll documents or web pages up and down. So you can use the page up and the page down and give those a try and see how they'll work for you. The enter key executes commands. So for example, while you're on the internet, you can type a website address and then press enter to go to the site. It is also used to start a new line in a word processing program. You can also, so if you type up a website up there in your address bar, you can hit enter and it will search that site for you. You also have a numeric keypad. This resembles a calculator keypad. Many users find that it is easier to type numbers using this keypad. On some keyboards, they use these keys are doubled with arrows, so you have more information. You can use these numbers as well as these numbers along here as well. And you can see all these numbers up here. Your arrow keys are used for many different purposes, including moving the cursor, scrolling a document, and controlling a game. So definitely want to take advantage of that. And last but never least, we have the Control, Alt, and Shift. These keys are designed to work in a combination with other keys. Typically, you can hold down the Control, Alt, or Shift, and then type another key to perform a specific task. So for example, many programs, typing Control plus S will save a file. So you want to learn how to use those control buttons, of course. And later on, we're going to talk about pulling up your task manager, which is Control, Alt, and Delete at the same time. So starting to learn the combinations of those will benefit you a lot in the things that you're trying to do. So hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of your keyboard. Don't forget, there are typing tutorials that you can take online that are free, just to kind of know where you are with your speed and where you should be, especially if you're trying to find a job using computers, which pretty much 90% of your jobs nowadays involve computers. You might want to kind of brush up on your typing skills. What's nice about this keyboard is that if you're used to the old typewriters, they haven't moved our keys. Have they added some? Yes, we have new keys on there that we don't have on those old school typewriters, but they did take the lettering and they kept those in the same spot. So what you learned back in the day using the old typewriters still applies to today with the current keyboard, because all of your letters are still there, in addition to many other things that you can do with the keyboard. So I hope you got a lot out of this. And again, don't forget, if you have questions, just get a hold of me. Okay, so moving right along, we are going to be talking about those buttons and ports on your computer. So take a look at the front and back of your computer case and count the number of buttons, ports, and slots you see. Now, look at your monitor and count any you find there. Have you done it? You probably counted at least 10 and maybe a lot more. Each computer is different, so the buttons, ports, and sockets will vary from computer to computer. However, there are certain ones you can expect to find on most desktop computers. Learning how these ports are used will help whenever you need to connect something to your computer, like a printer, keyboard, or a mouse. And this video is going to show you a lot more about those buttons, ports, and slots on your desktop computer.
This is a typical desktop computer. It has various buttons and ports on the front and back of the computer case. We're going to go over some of the most common ones, which you'll find on most desktop computers. Let's start with the front of the case. Most desktop computers have the power button on the front, although some all-in-one computers put it on the back behind the screen. Your computer will probably have an optical disk drive, also known as a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM drive. This has either a tray or a slot where you can insert a CD, DVD, or even a Blu-ray disc if it's a newer computer. If you have blank CDR or DVD-R discs, you can write or burn data onto them. For convenience, your computer may have audio ports and USB ports on the front. That makes it easier to plug in your phone, headphones, or USB flash drive. You can also find audio and USB ports on the back of the computer. You'll usually have several USB ports so you can plug in all of the peripherals that you need. The power socket is also found on the back, and this is where you'll connect the power cord. To connect your computer to the internet, you can use an Ethernet cable to connect your Ethernet port to your modem or router. And this port looks a lot like a telephone port, but it's a little bit wider. You'll use your computer's monitor port to connect the monitor. There are many different types of monitor ports. This computer has a VGA port, but your computer may have a different kind, such as DVI or HDMI. Expansion slots allow you to upgrade your computer by adding expansion cards. For example, you can add a graphics card to get better gaming performance. Many computers use PS2 ports to connect the mouse and keyboard. The mouse port is usually green and the keyboard port is usually purple. But if you have a USB mouse and keyboard, then you won't need to use these ports. Finally, some computers have a serial port and a parallel port for connecting to older peripherals such as printers. But today, most devices use the USB ports instead. So those are the main types of buttons and ports that you'll find on a desktop computer. Your computer may have the ports in different places, and it may even have a different type of port, but chances are most of these basic parts are there.
All right. Well, I'm sure that these videos that you've been watching have been very beneficial to you. I wanted to go over the front and the back case, the back of your computer case. So we're going to start with the front. Now, keep in mind that some of these may be different from computer to computer. You may have a lot more ports on your computer than I have on this particular computer, and it may not look anything like this. You may have a flat computer and not a big towered computer like this. So these are just very basic buttons and ports that we're going to be going over. So this is your disk drive, often called the CD-ROM or the DVD-ROM, and this lets your computer read CDs, DVDs. It can also burn CDs, DVDs, and things along those lines. So those are very beneficial to have. You can also use these to perform those backups, and I believe later on in the class it's going to be talking about backups. You can use backups with a CD, a DVD, or even a flash drive. Without having to pay for the services. There are services out there that back up your information for you. It keeps it online and you pay for that. And it's easier because you don't have to do anything and it kind of does its own thing. But you can do this stuff for yourself for free. So just so you know that. Right here's my power button. This allows me to turn on and off my computer. I have an audio in and an audio out jack. You may have an SD card slot in the front of your computer as well. This allows you to plug in those cards that you may have up to 128 gig. I think you can even get them up to a terabyte now. So pictures that you may have put on those discs or the SD cards would have slots as well. But right now, this is the audio in and audio out. Many computers include these ports on the front. That allows easier access to speakers, microphones, headsets without fumbling to the back of the computer. So it's kind of handy to have it on the front. This is a USB, which is a universal serial bus port. Most of the stuff that we buy nowadays has some type of a USB plug on them. Most desktop computers have several of these ports. You can use to connect many kinds of devices, mice, keyboards, printers, digital cameras, flash drives, external hard drives, just anything really. I mean, your chargers. They will often appear on the front and on the back of the computer. So earlier I had you count all your ports. This should have been some of what you were counting. So this is the front, and now we're going to talk about the back of the case of your computer. Okay, taking a look at the back of our computer. Yours may look a little different. This picture is slightly outdated. I'm not seeing any HDMI ports on here. You would probably have those on the front and the back. Those are high definition ports, and you would know the difference for sure because it doesn't look anything like these. So we're going to just start up here in the corner. This is your power socket, and this allows you to connect your power cord to the actual computer. You also have an audio in and an audio out on the back. So if you don't have it on the front, you may very well have it on the back. Almost every computer has 2 or more of these ports where you can connect various devices, which we had talked about already, including speakers, microphones, and headsets. This would be my Ethernet port. This would be the port that looks kind of like a phone jack. Let me get this out of the way and you can see it right here. Looks kind of like a phone jack. This allows me to plug in a modem or a telephone port that's slightly wider. You can use this for networking, connecting to the internet as well. Here's all my USB ports that I was talking about earlier. On most desktop computers, most of the USB ports are on the back of the computer case. Generally, you'll want to connect your mouse and keyboard to these ports and keep the front USB ports free so you can use those for digital cameras and other devices because they're a little bit easier to get to. This is a monitor port, which these could be a monitor port as well. This allows you to connect a monitor cable. In this example, the computer has both a display port and a VGA port. Other computers may have other types of monitor ports such as DVI, HDMI, things along those lines. So just got to check what kind of monitor end you have to where it plugs into the port. This is my serial port. This port is a less common in today's computers. We did frequently use it to connect peripherals like digital cameras, but it's been replaced by the USB. So you may still have this if you have an older computer. PS and /2. These ports are sometimes used for connecting the mouse and the keyboard. Typically the mouse port is green and the keyboard port is purple. On new computers, these ports have been replaced with USBs as well, so you may not have those anymore. These are expansion slots, all of these here. And expansion slots allow you to add things to your computer. So for example, if you wanted your computer didn't have a video card or something along those lines, you could purchase one and you could install it here. You can also install more memory on your computer if you find that you're running out of memory. This is a parallel port. This is an older port that is less common on new computers, but because it's been replaced with the USB. So just think about all this and the USB as well. So hopefully you have a little bit of a better understanding of some of the ports that are going on with your computer. The HDMI port is not on here, but it does allow you to connect something high definition wise. So take a look now if you haven't, and I think you did because I had you count them, but just kind of be familiar with where all of your ports are on your computer. Okay, jumping ahead to our next section here, we're going to be talking about inside of a desktop computer. So, have you ever looked inside of a computer case or seen pictures of the inside of one? The small parts may look complicated, but the inside of a computer case isn't really all that mysterious. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can master some of these basic terminology and understand a bit more about what goes on inside your computer.
You may already know that there are a lot of important parts inside a desktop computer, but what exactly do they do? In this video, we're going to take a look inside to show you the various components that make a computer work. Every computer has a large circuit board called a motherboard. This contains some of the most important parts of your computer, such as the CPU, also called the Central Processing Unit or processor. The CPU is sometimes called the brain of the computer because it processes information and carries out commands. Since it tends to get hot, it's covered by a piece of metal called a heat sink, which draws heat away from the processor. The motherboard also contains your computer's RAM, or random access memory. This is the short-term memory that your computer uses whenever it's performing calculations. However, you can't store your files there because the RAM is cleared when you turn off the computer. For long-term storage, your computer uses a hard drive, which keeps all of its data even when the computer is turned off. Most hard drives use a magnetic platter to store data, but many newer computers have solid-state drives, which are faster and more durable, but also more expensive. If you want to upgrade your computer, you can add expansion cards to the motherboard's expansion slots. You can add a video card to get better graphics performance, or you could add a wireless card to connect to your wireless home network. Of course, your computer's components need electricity to run. The power supply unit is designed to take the power from the wall outlet and send it to all the different components that need power. A desktop computer is a pretty complex machine, but now that you've seen what goes on inside, it should be a little less mysterious.
So I get questions all the time from people that I meet with to do one-on-one appointments and things along those lines. And sometimes they just call me out of nowhere asking me, should I get a laptop? Should I get a desktop? What exactly should I get? And first off, you need to know what a laptop is. Okay. A laptop is a personal computer that can be easily moved and used in a variety of locations. Most laptops are designed to have all of the functionality of a desktop computer, which means they can generally run the same software and open the same types of files. However, laptops also tend to be more expensive than comparable when you're comparing those to desktop computers. So if you want to be able to take it with you places, the laptop is the way to go. But if you're not real concerned about that and you're okay with it just being secure in one area, then the desktop would be the way to go. Unfortunately, in this situation, there's really no right or wrong. It's more of a preference to you and your lifestyle. So you want to make sure whichever one you choose, and we've already kind of talked about the desktop. Now we're going to talk about the laptop. Whichever one you're going to use is going to benefit you to be able to understand computer skills and do those things that everybody has to do nowadays on a computer. So let's get a better understanding of laptop computers.
If you're thinking of buying a computer, you may have wondered, is a laptop right for me? Depending on how you plan to use it, the answer may be yes. In this video, we'll look at some of the ways that a laptop is different from a desktop to help you decide. The biggest difference is portability. Laptops have to be small and light so that you can pick them up and take them with you. Since all of the basic parts are built in, setting up a laptop is as easy as opening it. The downside is that the monitor is usually smaller than a desktop monitor, so you'll have less screen space. Another important difference is that laptops use a battery. The battery can provide power to the laptop when you're on the go, and it will recharge whenever it's plugged in. An added benefit of having a battery is if the power goes out, the battery can work as a backup power source. Instead of a mouse, laptops usually have a built-in touchpad, also known as a trackpad. You can control the pointer on the screen by using a drawing motion with your finger. If you haven't used a touchpad before, the experience is a little bit different from using a mouse, and it may take a while to get used to. If you're buying a desktop computer, you can mix and match almost any monitor, keyboard, and mouse that you want. With a laptop, you won't have quite as much freedom since everything is built in. However, if you want to have the best of both worlds, you can use your laptop's ports to connect a separate monitor, keyboard, and mouse, basically turning your laptop into a desktop. And of course, whenever you want to, you can simply disconnect everything and take your laptop with you. As you can see, there are some important differences between laptops and desktops, so depending on your preferences, you can decide which one best suits your needs.
In this section, we're going to have a brief discussion about what mobile devices are and why. Why do we have them? Why do we need them? And what should I do about getting one, or what should I do about learning how to use one that I already have? A mobile device is a general term for any type of handheld computer. These devices are designed to be extremely portable, and they can often fit in your hand. Some mobile devices like tablets, e-readers, and smartphones are powerful enough to do many of the same things you can do with a desktop or a laptop computer. So let's break this down a little bit. Tablet computers, and we can see that on the far left. I've got a couple of iPads there. Like laptops, tablet computers are designed to be portable. However, they provide a different computing experience. The most obvious difference is that the tablet computers don't have keyboards or touchpads. Instead, the entire screen is touch sensitive. So this allows you to type on a virtual keyboard and use your fingers as a mouse pointer. Tablet computers can't necessarily do everything traditional computers can do, but for many people, a traditional computer like a desktop or laptop is still needed in order to use some programs. However, the convenience of a tablet computer means it may be ideal as a second computer. So that's definitely something to think about when you're debating on what kind of devices you want to get. And then the next picture over, that black Kindle there, this is called an e-reader. An e-reader or an e-book reader, also called an e-reader, are similar to tablet computers, except they are mainly designed for reading e-books through digital downloaded books, basically. Notable examples would include Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Most e-readers use an e-ink display, which is easier to read than a traditional computer display. You can even read in bright sunlight, just like you were reading a regular book. You don't need an e-reader to read e-books. They can also be read on tablets, smartphones, laptops, and desktops, just so you know that. And then we're going to jump ahead to smartphones, which that very first smartphone there on the right, that's black. That is actually an Android. A smartphone is a more powerful version of a traditional cell phone. In addition to some basic features, phone calls, voicemail, text messaging, smartphones can connect to the internet over Wi-Fi or cellular network, which cellular network does require you purchasing a monthly data plan, so you know that. But if you have Wi-Fi at home, then you would be able to use this, or at any Wi-Fi location. This means you can use a smartphone for the same things you would normally do on a computer, such as checking your email, browsing the web, or shopping online. That black one is an Android and the white one is an iPhone. It just depends on what you would prefer. If you're not sure, then that might be something you'd want to look up on YouTube, the differences between them. Most smartphones use a touch-sensitive screen, meaning there isn't a physical keyboard on the device. Instead, you'll type on a virtual keyboard and use your fingers to interact with the display. Other standard features include a high-quality digital camera and the ability to play digital music and video files. For many people, a smartphone can actually replace electronics like an old laptop, digital music player, and digital camera in the same device. You can have it all right there for you. So you'd be able to listen to your music, take pictures, surf the web. All of that can be done with any types of these devices. Typically, your e-reader or your the Kindle there. Some of them can get online, some of them cannot. And by online, I mean probably just to download that e-reader book, and that's all you're going to get with the Kindle White. And that's what that is on the second picture there, the black Kindle. But all of the other ones, you should be able to download certain, even the library. You could go to our Overdrive app and download it. And because you have a library card with us, then that means that you can get ebooks for free. And you just download them onto your tablet or smartphone, and you're able to either listen to them as an audiobook or read them. You can also get movies. There's all kinds of things that you can do with these. So I hope you have a better understanding of mobile devices, what they can do for you, and whether or not it's something you want to try. If you have a smartphone and you're having some difficulty with it, just give me a call and I can help you out with that. Don't be discouraged. They're not hard. They're just different, and we can get through that together. So hopefully that you do now have a better understanding of mobile devices. An operating system is the most important software that runs on a computer. It manages the computer's memory and processes, as well as all of its software and hardware. It also allows you to communicate with the computer without knowing how to speak the computer's language. Without an operating system, a computer is useless. This video here is going to show you about the operating systems and how you can better understand them.
Did you know that you and your computer speak different languages? It doesn't speak Spanish, or Swedish, or Chinese. It speaks in ones and zeros. You can't communicate directly with your computer. That's where your operating system comes in. The operating system is the program that lets you interact with your computer. Together, the operating system and computer hardware form a complete system that determines what your computer can do. There are many different operating systems. Two of the most common ones are Microsoft Windows and Mac OS X. Windows comes preloaded on most personal computers. Mac OS X runs on all new Macs. Operating systems aren't just for computers and laptops, though. Mobile devices run mobile operating systems like Apple iOS or Google Android. Operating systems for mobile devices are designed for interactions with smaller touchscreens. Before downloading new software or applications to your computer or mobile device, you should check to see if the application is compatible with your operating system. Some applications work on all operating systems, but others only work on certain ones. So, get to know your operating system to see how it works and what it can do.
You may have heard people talking about using a program, an application, or an app. But what exactly does that mean? Simply put, an app is a type of software that allows you to perform specific tasks. Applications from desktop or laptop computers are sometimes called desktop applications, while those from mobile devices are called mobile apps. When you open an application, it runs inside the operating system until you close it. Most of the time, you will have more than one application open at the same time, which is known as multitasking. This video here is going to show you all about applications, what they are, how to use them, and what we can do with them.
If you woke up on time this morning thanks to the alarm on your smartphone, or if you read the news on Pulse every day like I do, you're using applications, also known as apps. An app is a program on your computer or device that allows you to do something. Some apps help you complete tasks, but others are just for fun. Here are a few ways you can, and may already, use apps in your everyday life. Mobile apps, which are apps that run on your smartphone or tablet, can make your life more convenient. If you forget your coffee at home, don't worry. A mobile app like Google Maps will determine your current location and recommend coffee shops close to work. Apps aren't just for mobile devices, though. If you use programs like Microsoft Word or PowerPoint on your desktop computer at work, you're using an app. And when you use Skype on your laptop to call family around the world, yep, you're using an app. Some apps come already installed on your home computer, laptop, tablet, and smartphone, but you can download or buy more online. Apps are about communication, productivity, entertainment, and more. So start exploring, and you're sure to find apps that are just right for the things you do.
Okay, so you have a new computer and you're ready to set it up. This may seem like an overwhelming and complicated task, but it's actually a lot easier than you might think. Most computers are set up in a similar way, so it doesn't matter what brand of computer you have. If you're setting up a new computer that's still in the box, you'll probably find a how-to guide that includes step-by-step details. Even if it didn't include instructions, you can still set up the computer in a few easy steps. We'll take you through the different steps needed to set up a typical computer. This video is going to show you the different steps that's needed to set up your brand new computer. If you need any further assistance with this, please don't hesitate to call me and I can guide you through it the best that I can.
Are you having trouble setting up your computer? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Don't worry, take a deep breath. You already have everything you need, you just need to put it together. Today I'm going to show you step by step how to set up a desktop computer. First, you'll want to unpack everything from the box and remove any plastic covering or protective tape. Think about where you want your workspace to go and how you want the different components to be arranged. Now's the time to decide before you start plugging things in. Next, we're going to connect the monitor. If you have an all-in-one computer where everything is built in, for example an iMac, you can skip this step. Otherwise, locate your monitor cable, which should look something like this. It might be blue to make it easier to identify, or it might be a slightly different shape. It just depends. Now find the monitor port on the back of your computer case and plug the cable in. Most cables are designed to fit a certain way, so if it's not working, don't force it. Make sure you have the right one, then tighten the screws to fix it in place. When you're done, connect the other end to your monitor. Now it's time to plug in your keyboard and mouse. For your keyboard, take a look at the cable. If it has a round PS2 connector, plug it into the purple port on the back of the case. If it has a USB connector instead, you can use any of the ports you see here. The same goes for your mouse. If it has a light green PS2 connector, use the color-coded port. If it has a USB, plug it in here. You could also use the USB port on your keyboard if your keyboard has one. If you have a wireless mouse or keyboard, it's going to work a little differently. Some connect using technology that's built into your computer, others need an adapter. You may want to read the instructions that came with your wireless mouse or keyboard to find out how it works. At this point, you should plug in your speakers or headphones if you have some you want to use. Just look for the audio port on the front or back of your computer case. Many computers have color coding here too. The green port is for speakers or headphones. The blue port is what we call the line in, which can be used with other types of devices. Some speakers, headphones, and microphones have USB connectors instead of the usual audio plug. These can be plugged into any USB port. Finally, it's time to connect the power supply cables and plug the computer in. Your computer should have come with two of these. One goes with your monitor, and the other plugs into the back of your computer case. Now plug both cables into a surge protector. If you don't have one, you can plug the cables directly into the wall. However, this is not recommended. A power surge can damage your computer if it's not plugged into a surge protector. When you're ready, plug the surge protector into a regular outlet. If yours has a power switch, you may need to turn it on. That's all there is to it. Pretty simple, huh? It sure is. Now you can take a minute to make sure you're happy with your workspace, then turn your computer on.
All right, so now that you know how to set up your computer, you need to get started with it on a lot of different levels. So we are going to talk about that in this particular slide today. A computer is more than just a household appliance. The vast amount of information and possibilities can be overwhelming, but you can accomplish a lot with a computer, and using one can be a good experience. So let's walk through getting started with your first computer. Turning on a computer for the first time can be different from one computer to the next. Your experience could be different from this lesson. It's okay to ask for help. So if you do need help, make sure that you get a hold of me. If you're using a desktop computer, you'll need to make sure that the keyboard, mouse, and monitor are plugged into the computer case before you continue. So make sure that you watch that video on setting up your computer for sure. The very first step is to turn on the computer. To do this, you're going to locate and press the power button. And I have a picture there of what the power button should look like. It is, it's in a different place on every computer, but it will have the universal power button symbol shown there on the slide. Once turned on, your computer takes time before it's ready to use. You may see a few different displays flash on the screen. This process is called booting up, and it can take anywhere from 15 seconds to several minutes. Once the computer has booted up, it may be ready to use, or it may require you to log in. This means identifying yourself by typing your username or selecting your profile, then typing your password. If you've been logged into your computer before, you may need to create an account if you've never logged into your computer before. So if it's the first time, you may need to create an account, but I have a picture there to show you how it's time to log in. You interact with a computer mainly by using the keyboard and mouse or a trackpad on laptops. Learning to use these devices is essential to learning to use a computer. Most people find it comfortable to place their keyboard on the desk directly in front of them and the mouse on one side of the keyboard. The mouse controls the pointer on the screen. Whenever you move the mouse across the desk, the pointer will move in a similar manner. A mouse usually has two buttons, which are referred to as the left button and the right button. You will often interact with your computer by moving the mouse pointer over something on the computer screen, then clicking one of the buttons. On laptops, you can use the trackpad located below the keyboard instead of a mouse, but you can use a mouse also. So you can plug in a wireless mouse or a wired mouse as well. You simply drag your finger across the trackpad to move the pointer on the screen. Some trackpads do not have buttons, so you'll either press or tap the trackpad to click. And I have a picture there to show you the trackpad, the mouse, and the keyboard and the setup, and how the cursor looks and so forth. The keyboard allows you to type letters, numbers, and words into the computer. Whenever you see a flashing vertical line called the cursor, you can start typing. Something to keep in mind is that the mouse pointer is also called a cursor, but it is shaped differently. The keyboard cursor is also called the insertion point. So that's just something to keep in mind. The main screen you'll start from is the desktop. This is sort of like a main menu or a table of contents. From here you can access the programs and features you need to use your computer. Icons are used to represent the different files, applications, and commands on your computer. An icon is a small image that's intended to give you an idea at a glance of what it represents, like a logo. Double-clicking on an icon on the desktop will open that application or file. A button is a command that performs a specific function within an application. The most commonly used commands in a program will be represented by buttons. So you can see down there how they have little buttons under using the computer. You have little buttons that you can press on using your mouse. Menus are organized collections of commands and shortcuts. Click a menu to open it and display the commands and shortcuts within. Then click an item in the menu to execute it. And that shows where it says scale, shear, rotate. This gives them a menu. When you open an application or folder, it is displayed in its own window. A window is a contained area, like a picture within a picture, with its own menus and buttons specific to that program. You can rearrange multiple windows on the desktop and switch between them. So you can see that wrapping all this up, so you're going to turn that on by the power button, going to get yourself logged in or create yourself an account. Make sure that your keyboard and mouse are working properly. This is what puts the commands in for you. Making sure you're clicking on menus and icons to get you going on programs. So this was all about getting started on your first computer. So if you've never had a computer before, I really hope that this information was beneficial to you. You should now go ahead and minimize this and just kind of check out some of those commands and controls and buttons and menus on your computer. So it's pretty important to get to know your OS system. Now that you know the absolute basics of using a computer, it's time to learn more about your computer's operating system. So we're going to talk about the two most common operating systems in this lesson, Microsoft Windows and the Mac OS.
If you're just getting started with Windows, learning how to navigate the desktop is a great way to start. Let's take a look at the desktop, which is the screen you see here. It includes a desktop background, also known as your wallpaper, and the taskbar at the bottom of the screen. The taskbar is where you'll find shortcuts to some of the applications on your computer, as well as the Start button. You can click the Start button to open the Start menu. Here you can see a list of applications. You can click an application to open it. You can also find shortcuts to your settings, documents, and more. The taskbar is also where you'll find the File Explorer. It allows you to view and open files and folders. For now, I'm going to close the window by clicking the X. Let's check out more features on the desktop. The desktop is the main workspace for your computer. To open a program, file, or folder, just double-click the icon. Each time you open something, it will appear in a new window. You have the ability to move windows by clicking and dragging the top of the window. When you're done, just release the mouse. If you have more than one window open at a time, you can quickly switch between them by clicking the one you want. Or you can click the icon for it on the taskbar. You can also maximize it so it fills the entire screen. Just click the square near the top right corner. Click it again to return the window to its original size. When you're finished, closing the windows is easy. Just click the X. If you want to quickly search the files, settings, or applications on your computer, you can use the search feature. Just click the search bar and start typing. and it will show a list of results. Now you know the basics of getting around the Windows desktop. If you're just getting started with macOS, learning how to navigate the interface is a great place to start. First, we're going to take a look at the desktop, which is the screen you see here. It includes a desktop background, also known as your wallpaper, the menu bar at the top, and the dock at the bottom. The dock is where you'll find shortcuts to some of the folders and applications on your computer. For example, Safari, Calendar, and Finder. To open any of the items on your dock, just click the icon. There are actually several different ways to navigate to files, folders, and apps in macOS. The Finder feature is one of them. We'll talk more about how to use the Finder later, though. For now, I'm going to close the window by clicking the red button in the upper left corner. Let's check out Launchpad instead. As you can see, Launchpad gives you access to all of your applications at once, making it easier to find and access the programs on your computer. To open a program, click the one you want. Exiting applications is just as easy. In the upper left corner, click the name of the app. Then choose Quit from the menu. Also on the menu bar is the Apple icon. This gives you access to your system preferences, recent files, folders, apps, and much more. You'll also use the Apple icon whenever you want to restart or shut down your computer. On the right side of the menu bar, you'll find an icon that looks like a magnifying glass. This opens a feature called Spotlight. It's a quick way to search for anything on your computer, from files and applications to calendar events. You can even do web searches. Just type what you're looking for, and you'll get a list of search results. The last icon on the menu bar opens the Notifications Center. Here you can keep track of the alerts you receive for different applications, including events on your calendar, reminders, and more. The Notification Center can be customized to show as few or as many alerts as you want. The desktop is one more place that you can store files, folders, and even shortcuts for easy access. This time, however, to open an item, you'll need to double-click your mouse. Some apps have a full screen mode that you can activate by clicking the green circle. This causes the window to expand, so you can focus on the application without any distractions. To return to normal view, press Ctrl-Command-F on your keyboard. Not all apps support this feature, but it's available in several of the apps that come pre-installed on your computer. Finally, let's talk about using your mouse in macOS, specifically a feature called natural scrolling. You can learn more about how it works by going to System Preferences, then choosing Mouse or Trackpad, depending on what you have. In this case, we'll choose Mouse. As you can see from the demo, natural scrolling is the reverse of traditional scrolling. It's almost like you're pushing the content up and down on the page. This may seem awkward at first, but it's how many touchscreen devices work. Natural scrolling is the default setting, but you can always disable it by checking the box here. We recommend trying it both ways to see which one you prefer. While you're in this window, you can also take a look at multi-touch gestures. For example, here's one that lets you go back and forth between pages using a simple swipe. macOS supports many different types of gestures, including pinches, taps, double taps, depending on what your mouse or trackpad is capable of. Each gesture performs a specific task. To learn more, you may want to visit this resource again once you become more familiar with macOS. Now that you know your way around the desktop, we invite you to explore its features more so you can get the most out of your macOS experience.
All right, we are going to move right along here. So you should have just got done watching a video about getting started with Windows Basics. I'd like to go through that interface with you just so you have a little bit better understanding. Both PCs and Macs use a graphical user interface, and they each have their own look and feel. The interactives below that we're going to talk about are going to introduce you to both the Windows and the Mac interfaces. So we're going to start with the Windows interface, and we'll start up here in the corner. This little picture of a trash can is your recycle bin. So when you delete a file, it is moved to the recycle bin. This allows you to recover the file if you change your mind, or you can permanently delete the file when you empty it, and that would be a right-clicking motion to empty that file. This would be items on your desktop, so you can keep folders, files, shortcuts on the desktop, so they'll be easily accessible to you. When working with Windows 10, this is your Start button, which gives you that Start menu. So that gets you into a lot of those tiles and programming for yourself. This whole thing here, this whole thing is called your desktop. Your desktop is the main workspace of your computer. So from here you can access files, folders, and more. You can also customize the desktop by choosing a desktop background, image, or also known as wallpaper. These two boxes here are folders that have been opened. So when you double click on a folder, which would be something like this, it's called File Explorer, and it's also known as Windows Explorer. This allows you to navigate a specific folder or file that you want. And if you look, you can see other folders listed on the side. They're actually accessing their OneDrive account, but there's several, or sorry, OneDrive account. So there's several other ways that you can get into that. This bar down here is called your taskbar. These are for shortcuts. Some programs will have shortcuts on the taskbar for you to easy access. In this example, there are shortcuts to Microsoft Edge, which is indicated by the E, File Explorer, which is your files, and the Windows Store. Let's see here. This is your actual taskbar, which contains all those shortcuts to applications. Also gives you the date and the time, as well as connectivity to the internet, your sound options. So when you open a program or file, it will appear on the taskbar, and you can easily switch between different programs by selecting those. And last but never least is the date and time settings. You have a lot of different settings in here. So on the right side of the taskbar, you'll see the date and time. There will also be shortcuts to various settings like internet settings, your sound, and your volume. So this is all about the Windows OS system. So we are going to move right along to the Mac type system. And that's what this is here. So let's just go through a few of these. So up in the corner, all right, so I went ahead and just readjusted that a little bit. So up in the corner here, we're going to push on this. And this is our Apple icon, and you can see a picture of a little apple. In the top left corner of the screen is the Apple icon, which you can click to access your system preferences, recent documents, and more. You can also use it to shut down your computer. So this is a way to shut down your computer as well as accessing some of those files. You do have a menu bar here, and that's what this little thing is called, which contains all the different menu options. So depending on which program you're using, in this example, the active program is Finder, and we can see that right there. Over here's your date and time setting on the right hand side of the menu bar. You will see this along with shortcuts you can click to adjust settings like your volume and things along those. You have your battery, your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, speakers. So these little arrows here, we'll start with this first arrow. This is Spotlight. When you click the magnifying glass icon, it will open Spotlight. Spotlight allows you to find a file or application by typing the name or just part of the name. So that's your little search. And then you have your notification center, and this displays an alert when you've received an update. It can be customized to let you know of upcoming appointments, tweets, news, and other real-time events. It remains hidden until you click the icon in the top right corner. This area here is also called your desktop. The desktop is the main workspace of the computer, so from here you can access your files, folders, and more. Just like on the Windows, you can customize this with a special picture or a wallpaper in the background. Opening folders, when you double click on a folder, it will open in a specialized program called Finder. This lets you navigate to the specific file or folder that you would like to have. Down here we have Launchpad, which allows you to see a list of all your applications. It is designed to make it easier to find and organize your applications. So this is all Launchpad down here. This is the dock, which contains shortcuts and applications and files and folders. You have multiple programs open. You can use the dock to quickly switch between them. So here's your dock as well down here. And then, of course, we have our little trash can here. So when you delete a file, it is moved to the trash. This allows you to recover the file if you change your mind. To permanently delete a file, you'll just empty the trash. And then we have items on the desktop. You can keep folders, files, shortcuts on the desktop, so they'll be easily accessible to you. So I'm hoping you get a better understanding of the Mac OS system as well as the Windows operating system as far as what the interface looks like and how we get around on those. Okay, well, you've got your computer set up. You have done the first steps of getting it going. Now you have learned a little bit about what kind of operating system that you're working with. But what about connecting to the internet? So once you've set up your computer, you may want to purchase home internet access so you can send and receive email, browse the web, stream videos, and more. You may even want to set up a home wireless network, commonly known as Wi-Fi, so you can connect multiple devices to the internet at the same time. So this video here is going to show you about getting yourself all connected to the internet.
There are a lot of reasons to set up a home internet connection. For example, you'll have access to email, news, shopping, TV shows, and much more. And once you have a working internet connection, you can create a wireless home network, which will let your whole family connect their computers, smartphones, and other internet-ready devices. There are different types of internet connections that you can have. Dial-up connects to your phone line. It's usually much slower than other types of internet connections, but in some areas it may be the only option available. Generally, DSL and cable are better options. DSL plugs into your phone line, and cable uses your cable TV connection. These are both known as broadband internet connections because they offer much faster speeds than dial-up. This makes it easier to watch videos, play games, or browse the web. 3G and 4G are types of wireless internet connections often used by smartphones, but you can also get these types of connections for your home. Depending on where you live, 3G or 4G may be a good broadband alternative to DSL and cable. No matter what kind of internet service you choose, you'll need to purchase it from an internet service provider or ISP. Chances are you can buy internet service from your phone or cable company, or you may want to shop around for a better price. Your ISP will guide you through the entire process of connecting to the internet. They'll usually need to send a technician to your home to turn on your connection. Your ISP may also give you a modem and set it up for you. But if you prefer, you can buy a modem from a computer store and use the included instructions to set it up yourself. These instructions will vary, but the basic idea is that you'll connect the modem to your phone jack or cable TV connection, and then connect your computer to the modem using an Ethernet cable. Once you have everything set up, you can open your web browser and begin using the internet. If you want to connect several devices to the internet, or if you just want the freedom to use your laptop without cables, you can create a wireless home network, also known as a Wi-Fi network. To do this, you'll need a wireless router, which takes the internet connection from your modem and broadcasts it throughout your home. Your modem may already have a wireless router built in, so you may not need to buy one. To set up your wireless connection, follow the instructions included with your router. You'll need to choose a network name, also known as an SSID. Also, for security, you should turn on WPA or WPA2 encryption, and make sure you choose a strong password. After you've set up your wireless network, go into each device's Wi-Fi or network settings, select your network name, and type your password. If any of your devices aren't wireless ready, you can simply plug them into your router with an Ethernet cable, or you can purchase a wireless card. Setting up an internet connection and Wi-Fi network takes a little bit of work, but once you get it set up, your family will be able to use the internet without being limited to one computer.
Going along with getting started with the internet is a global network of billions of computers and other electronic devices. With the internet, it's possible to access almost any information, communicate with anyone else in the world, and much more. You can do all this on your computer. A device has to be connected to the internet before you can access it. If you plan to use the internet at home, you usually need to purchase an internet connection from an internet service provider, which will likely be a phone company, cable company, or the government. Other devices usually connect through Wi-Fi or cellular internet connections. Sometimes libraries, cafes, schools offer free Wi-Fi for their patrons, customers, and students. If you're not sure how to connect to the device, make sure you go back to watching that video on how to get connected on the internet. Most information on the internet is on websites. Once you have connected to the internet, you can access websites using a kind of application called a web browser. So some of the more common web browsers would be Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Microsoft Edge. A website is a collection of related text, images, and other resources. Websites can resemble other forms of media like newspaper articles or television programs, or they can be interactive in a way that's unique to the computer. The purpose of websites can be almost anything: a new platform, an advertisement, an online library, a forum for sharing images, or an educational site like gcflearnfree.org or the library. A web browser allows you to connect to and view websites. The web browser itself is not the internet, but it displays pages on the internet. Each website has a unique address. By typing this address into your web browser, you can connect to that website and your web browser will display it. So navigating websites, and I've got different pictures there to kind of go along with what we're talking about right now. Websites often have links to other sites. These are also called hyperlinks. These are often parts of the text on the website. They are usually colored blue, and sometimes they are underlined or bold. If you click the text, your browser will load a different page. Web authors use hyperlinks to connect relevant pages. This web of links is one of the most unique features of the internet, lending the old name World Wide Web. Each website has a unique address called a URL. You'll notice that when you click on a link, the URL changes as your browser loads a new page. If you type a URL in the address bar in your browser will load the page associated with that URL. It's like a street address telling your browser where to go on the internet. When you're looking for specific information on the internet, a search engine can help. So we've talked about a web browser getting you connected to the internet by using Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer. Some of our search engines would be Google, Yahoo, Bing, Ask. Those are all search engines once we get connected through a web browser. A search engine is a specialized website that's designed to help you find other websites. If you type keywords or phrases into a search engine, it will display a list of websites relevant to your search item. Other things you can do on the internet. One of the best features of the internet is the ability to communicate almost instantly with anyone in the world. Email is one of the oldest and most universal ways to communicate and share information on the internet, and billions of people use it. Social media allows people to connect in a variety of ways and build communities online. There are many other things you can do on the internet too. There are thousands of ways to keep up with the news or shop for anything online. You can pay your bills, manage your bank accounts, meet new people, watch TV, or learn skills. You can learn or do almost anything online. Just keep in mind that when you do, internet safety is a big, big deal. So make sure you have an antivirus on your computer, and you can get those for free through AVG or Avast to help protect you while you're surfing on the web. So hopefully you have a little bit better understanding now of actually being on the internet and getting started with the internet. So we've all heard the terms about it's in the cloud, but what is the cloud? You may have heard people using terms like the cloud, cloud computing, or cloud storage. Simply put, the cloud is the internet. More specifically, it's all the things you can access remotely over the internet. When something is in the cloud, it means it's stored on internet servers instead of your computer's hard drive. So this video here is going to show you and explain to you a little bit more about the cloud.
Here you are working at your computer. Huh, what's that noise? Suddenly, a meteorite crashes to Earth, specifically into your living room. Sadly, your computer is no more, but thankfully all your music, photos, and important documents are stored online, in the cloud. When something is stored in the cloud, that means it's stored on internet servers instead of on your computer. It's like having an extra hard drive, one that you can access anywhere and anytime you're connected to the internet. In the past, you only had a home computer and the software you installed on it. Now you can take your files anywhere thanks to cloud-based applications called web apps, which run inside your internet browser. A web app that you may already use is Google Docs. It's free, you don't have to install anything to use it, and it allows you to create several different types of projects. You can access everything that you create in Google Docs from any computer or device with an internet connection. Since you only need a connected device to access the cloud, you can take your music, photos, and videos with you wherever you go. For instance, if you take a photo on your smartphone and upload it to a cloud-based photo storage service like Flickr or Picasa, you can access that photo on any of your other devices, on your computer, or even on your TV. You can share your vacation photos with friends and family while you're still on vacation. With your photos and other multimedia stored in the cloud, you'll never have to worry about losing them to a computer malfunction or rogue meteorite ever again. Storing files in the cloud is a great way to protect your important files from accidents, viruses, and more. You can use cloud-based storage services like Mozy or Carbonite to back up the contents of your computer. These services run continually and back up automatically, so you'll always have the most recent versions of your files stored in secure online servers. If something bad happens to your computer, you can easily transfer your backup files from your storage service to another device. So, what are you waiting for? No matter how you use your computer, tablet, or smartphone, the cloud has something to offer you. Whether it's checking your email when you're traveling, backing up the photos and music that you love, or using web apps to work in different locations, the cloud can, and already is, making your life and the technology in it more manageable.
This section here is pretty vital for the health of your computer and keeping it lasting as long as you possibly can. Dust isn't just unattractive, it can potentially damage or even destroy parts of your computer. Cleaning your computer regularly will help you keep it working properly and avoid expensive repairs. This video here is going to explain to you a little bit more about keeping your computer clean.
It's important to keep your computer clean, not only because it looks nice, but also because things like dust and dirt can affect your computer's performance. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Here's the right way to clean your computer case, monitor, mouse, and keyboard. First, always turn off or unplug the item before you clean it, just to be safe. If it has a PS2 connector like this, make sure the computer is shut down, both when you unplug the cable and when you plug it back in. To clean your keyboard, turn it upside down and gently shake it to remove any dust, dirt, or crumbs. It's not uncommon for stuff to get stuck inside, which can affect the way your keyboard works. You can also use a can of compressed air to really get between the keys. To clean the surface, use a cotton cloth or paper towel that's moistened with rubbing alcohol. Never actually pour alcohol or any other liquid on your keyboard. If you spill something by accident, don't panic. Shut your computer down immediately, then disconnect the keyboard and turn it upside down so the liquid can drain. If the liquid is sticky, you can rinse your keyboard under running water just like this, turned to the side. Then let it drain upside down for 2 days before reconnecting it. It may not be repairable at this point, but it's worth a try. The best way to avoid this is to keep drinks away from the computer area altogether. Next, take a look at your mouse. If you have an optical mouse, good news. These don't require much cleaning at all because they don't have any moving parts. Just keep an eye on the light emitter underneath. If something gets stuck here, even a piece of dust, it can keep your mouse from working smoothly. To clean a mechanical mouse, again, make sure it's unplugged. Then remove the tracking ball by turning the ring counterclockwise. It should pop right out. Use a cotton cloth or paper towel to wipe it with a little rubbing alcohol. You can wipe the inside of the mouse too. Make sure all the parts are dry before you put them back together. Here's an easy tip. You can give your mouse a quick cleaning by rubbing it back and forth on a clean white sheet of paper. Sometimes this is enough to remove the dust and dirt that can get stuck underneath. Your monitor is going to be even easier to clean, but there are a few things to keep in mind. Never spray the screen directly with water, cleaner, or any other kind of liquid. It can leak into the monitor and damage the components inside. Never use glass cleaner, like Windex. This can damage your screen if it has an anti-glare coating. The safest method is to unplug the monitor, then wipe it with a soft cloth moistened with water. You should also give some thought to cleaning other parts of your workspace, like the back of your monitor and your computer case. These areas can get pretty dusty if you're not careful. A lint-free cloth, sometimes called a microfiber cloth, is great for wiping the casings. If you see a lot of buildup in the ventilation fans, you can use a can of compressed air to clean them out. Never use furniture cleaner or strong solvents on any of these surfaces. Instead, take your cloth or even a paper towel and spray it with glass cleaner. Now wipe the case and monitor housing, but not the monitor screen, in a downward motion. You can make your own solution using ammonia diluted with water. The milder the better. One more thing you can do to make sure your computer stays physically healthy is to watch the airflow around the case. That means no books, no stacks of paper, nothing that might block the fans in the back, which are designed to keep your computer from overheating. In fact, if you have a desk with a compartment for the case, you may want to position the case a little towards the front or leave the compartment open if it has a door. Both of these steps will help your computer stay cool. Looks good to me. Just remember to clean your equipment regularly, the right way, and your computer is sure to stay healthy for years to come.
As I mentioned earlier, it's really important to keep your computer protected. So you would want to make sure that you're getting yourself an antivirus and things along those lines to help keep your computer safe from harm. Your computer faces many potential threats, including viruses, malware, and hard drive failure. This is why it's important to do everything you can to protect your computers on your files and your files on the computer. So this video here is going to show you how to protect your computer from viruses as well as backing up those files in case there is potential harm.
Your computer allows you to do many different things and store a lot of important files, so it's important to protect your computer and keep it running smoothly. One of the biggest computer threats is malware. Malware is any type of software that is designed to damage your computer or gain unauthorized access to your personal information. This can include viruses, spyware, Trojan horses, and other types of software. Any computer can get malware, although if you're using a Mac, it's less likely. To protect your computer, you should install an antivirus program such as Kaspersky, Norton, or Bitdefender. This helps prevent viruses from being installed, and it also lets you scan your computer and remove any viruses that are found. Keep in mind, no antivirus program is perfect. To stay safe, you should avoid suspicious-looking ads or downloads, run regular updates to your antivirus program, and also run updates to your operating system. To keep your computer running smoothly, Windows has a couple of tools that you can use: Disk Cleanup and Disk Defragmenter. You can access these from your Start menu by going to All Programs, Accessories, and then System Tools. Disk Cleanup helps you free up space on your hard drive by scanning your computer for temporary files and other files that can be deleted. Disk Defragmenter rearranges the data on your hard drive to help your computer run faster and more efficiently. If something bad does happen to your computer, you could lose all of your important files. To prevent this, you should back up your files regularly. One way to do this is to buy an external hard drive and copy your files to it. To make the backup process as easy as possible, you can use software like Windows Backup or Time Machine if you're using a Mac. Of course, if something happens to your computer and your hard drive, you'll still lose all of your files. For more security, you can use an online backup service like Mozy or Carbonite. You may have to pay a monthly fee to use these services, but the advantage is that your files will stay safe in the cloud no matter what happens to your computer. Following these tips can help you protect your computer and ensure that all of your important files will be there when you need them.
In addition to keeping your computer healthy, it's important to think about your own health. Using a computer involves a lot of repetitive motions such as typing and using the mouse. Over time, these motions can begin to negatively impact your body, especially your wrists, neck, and back. Staring at a monitor for long periods of time can also cause eye strain. To minimize these risks, you should take a few moments to make sure your workspace is arranged in a comfortable and healthy way.
Does staring at the computer for hours make you feel tired? Do you suffer from frequent aches and pains? Looks like you could use some help with ergonomics. Ergonomics, or human factors, is the scientific discipline concerned with the understanding of interactions among humans and other elements of a system. In other words, it's about you and the things you can do to make your workspace more comfortable. For example, using a computer involves a lot of repetitive motions, like typing and using the mouse. Over time, these motions can take their toll on your body. If you arrange your workspace with ergonomics in mind, you can avoid things like eye strain and neck and back pain. Here are some tips to help you stay comfortable and productive. Make sure you place your chair so you're sitting in a natural, comfortable position. You may need to adjust the height so your feet are touching the ground. Mind your posture. Many office chairs are even designed to give you extra support where you need it, for example in the lower back and on the armrests. Position your keyboard at a comfortable height. Your wrist should be straight and relaxed to avoid any strain. A keyboard tray might help if your desk has one. You can also try an ergonomic keyboard, which generally has extra support for your wrists, or a shape designed to fit the natural placement of your hands. If possible, place your mouse right next to the keyboard, otherwise it's going to be hard to reach. If you do start to feel any pain, you might want to look into certain products that can give you extra cushioning. For example, a pad in front of your keyboard, or this glove, designed to elevate and support your wrist. Your monitor should be a comfortable distance away from your eyes, somewhere between 20 to 40 inches. It should also be at eye level or slightly lower. This is your best chance of reducing eye strain. Another way to avoid strain and fatigue is to take frequent breaks. For example, look away from the monitor every once in a while. 20-20-20 is a good rule to follow. Every 20 minutes, focus your eyes on an object 20 feet away for 20 seconds. You can even download apps that'll remind you when it's time to take a break. Basically, you want to get up occasionally, walk around, have a snack, whatever it takes to avoid sitting in the same position for too long. Debris and general clutter is another thing that can affect your productivity. It can also lead to strain or injury if you're not careful. So, if you have paperwork or supplies that can be put away, it's best to store them somewhere instead of leaving them on your desk. Let's review. With a little attention to ergonomics, you can take your workspace from this to this. And that's all it takes to stay healthy and comfortable while using your computer.
Wow, we have covered a lot of stuff in this class today. So I hope that this is all going to be beneficial to you. I'm going to be talking about something right now that may kind of lose you a little bit, but I'm hoping that I explain it thoroughly enough to where you're going to understand some basic troubleshooting techniques to help you get along. Do you know what to do if your screen goes blank? What if you can't seem to close an application? You can't hear any sound from your speakers? Whenever you have a problem with your computer, don't panic. There are many basic troubleshooting techniques you can use to fix issues like this. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you some simple things to try when troubleshooting, as well as how to solve common problems you may encounter. So here's some general tips to keep in mind. There are many different things that can cause a problem with your computer. No matter what's causing the issue, troubleshooting will always be a process of trial and error. In some cases, you may need to use several different approaches before you can find a solution. Other problems may be easy to fix. I recommend you starting by using the following tips. Write down your steps. Once you start troubleshooting, you may want to write down each step you take. This way you'll be able to remember exactly what you've done, and it can avoid repeating the same mistake. If you end up asking other people for help, it will be much easier if they know exactly what you've already tried. Take notes about error messages. If your computer gives you an error message, be sure to write down as much information as possible. You may be able to use this information later to find out if other people are having the same error. Always check the cables. If you're having troubles with a specific piece of computer hardware, such as your monitor or keyboard, an easy first step is to check all related cables to make sure they're properly connected. And if all else fails, restart the computer. Restarting the computer is a good thing to try. This can solve a lot of basic issues you may experience within the computer. Making sure you're using process of elimination. If you're having an issue with your computer, you may be able to find out what's wrong by using a process of elimination. This means you'll make a list of things that could be causing the problem and then test them out one by one to eliminate them. Once you've identified the source of your computer issue, it will be easier to find the solution. So here's a scenario. Let's say you're trying to print out invitations for a birthday party, but the printer won't print. You have some ideas about what could be causing this, so you go through them one by one to see if you can eliminate any possible causes. First, you check the printer to see that it's turned on and plugged in to the surge protector. It is, so that's not the issue. Next, you check to make sure the printer's ink cartridge still has ink and there is paper loaded in the paper tray. Things look good in both cases, so you know that those issues have nothing to do with the ink or paper. Now you want to make sure the printer and computer are communicating correctly. If you recently downloaded an update to your operating system, it might interfere with the printer. But you know there haven't been any recent updates and the printer was working yesterday, so you'll have to look elsewhere. You check your printer's USB cord and find that it's not plugged in. You must have unplugged it accidentally when you plugged something else into the computer earlier. Once you plug in the USB cord, the printer starts working again. It looks like this printer issue is solved. This is just one example of an issue you might encounter while using a computer in the rest of the lesson. We're going to talk about other common computer problems and some ways to solve them. Most of the time, problems can be fixed using simple troubleshooting techniques like closing and reopening a program. It's important to try these simple solutions before resorting to more extreme measures. If the problem still isn't fixed, you can try other troubleshooting techniques. So another scenario, let's say the problem is the power button will not start the computer. All right, well, here's solution one. If your computer does not start, begin by checking the power cord to confirm that it is plugged in securely into the back of the computer case and the power outlet. Solution two. If it's plugged into an outlet, make sure it is a working outlet. To check your outlet, you can plug in another electronic device such as a lamp. Another solution, solution three. If the computer is plugged into the surge protector, verify that it is turned on. And I'm showing you a picture of that right there on the screen for you. You may have to reset the surge protector by turning it off and then back on. You can also plug a lamp or other device into the surge protector to verify that it's working correctly. And solution four, if you're using a laptop, the battery may not be charged, plug in the AC adapter into the wall, then try to turn on the laptop. If it still doesn't start up, you may need to wait a few minutes for it to charge and then try again. So those are all problems that stem from the power button will not start my computer. So what about a problem of an application running slowly? Well, solution one would be to close and reopen the application. Just shut it all down and reboot it. Solution two would be update the application. To do this, you click the Help menu and look for an option to check for updates. If you can't find this option, another idea is to run an online search for application updates. And you can see that picture there for software update. All right, so another problem. Application is frozen. Sometimes an application may become stuck or frozen. When this happens, you won't be able to close the window or click any buttons within the application. So solution one would be a force quit the application. On a PC, you can press and hold Control-Alt-Delete, the Control-Alt-Delete keys on your keyboard to open the task manager. On a Mac, you would press and hold Command-Option-Escape. You can then select the unresponsive application and click End Task or Force Quit on a Mac to close it. And we see the task manager listed here for us that shows us how we can end that task. Solution two, restart the computer. If you're unable to force quit an application, restarting your computer will close all open apps. Another problem you might face are all programs on the computer run slowly. Solution one would be to run a virus scanner. You may have malware running in the background that is slowing things down. So solution two, your computer may be running out of hard drive space. Try deleting any files or programs you don't need. And solution three, if you're using a PC, you can run a disk defragment. So you might want to look on YouTube to find out what exactly a disk defragment is and how you can protect your computer. But I believe we may have seen some of that in our class today. So another problem would be the computer is frozen. Sometimes your computer may become completely unresponsive or frozen. When this happens, you won't be able to click anywhere on the screen, open or close the application, or access shutdown options. Solution one for Windows would be to restart the Windows Explorer. So to do this, you would press and hold Control-Alt-Delete on your keyboard, open the Task Manager. Next, you would locate and select Windows Explorer from the Processes tab and click Restart. You may need to click More Details at the bottom of the window to see the Processes tab. So I've given you a picture of that on the far right as well. Solution two is for a Mac only. So you can restart Finder, and I'm showing you that on the bottom left picture. To do this, you press and hold Command-Option-Escape on your keyboard to open the Force Quit application dialog box. Next, you locate and select Finder and then click Relaunch. Another solution, which solution three, would be press and hold the power button. The power button is usually located on the front or the side of the computer, typically indicated by a power symbol. Press and hold that power button for about 5 to 10 seconds to force the computer to shut down. And solution 4, if the computer still won't shut down, you can unplug the power cable from the electrical outlet. If you're using a laptop, you may be able to remove the battery to force the computer to turn off. This solution should be your absolute last solution, last resort after trying all the other suggestions that I gave you. All right, another problem. The mouse or keyboard has stopped working. Solution 1, if you're using a wired mouse or keyboard, make sure it's correctly plugged into your computer. Solution 2, if you're using a wireless mouse or keyboard, make sure it's turned on and that its batteries are charged. Another problem would be the sound isn't working. So the solution 1 would be to check the volume level. Click the audio button in the top left or bottom right corner of the screen to make sure the sound is turned on and the volume is up. Another solution 2 would be check the audio player controls. Many audio and video players will have their own separate audio controls, so make sure that the sound is turned on and the volume is turned up on the player. And I'm showing you a picture of that down in the center at the bottom. Solution 3 would be check the cables, make sure external speakers are plugged in, turned on, and connected to the correct audio port or USB port. If your computer has color-coded ports, the audio output port will usually be green. Solution 4, connect headphones to the computer to find out if you can hear sound through the headphones. Another problem in our main problem here would be if the screen is blank. Solution 1, the computer may be in sleep mode. Click the mouse or press any key on the keyboard to wake it up. Solution 2, make sure the monitor is plugged in and turned on. Solution 3, make sure the computer is plugged in and turned on. And solution 4, if you're using a desktop, make sure that the monitor cable is properly connected to the computer tower and the monitor. Solving more difficult problems. So if you still haven't found a solution to your problem, you may need to ask someone else for help. As an easy starting point, I would recommend searching the web. It's possible that other users have had similar problems and solutions to these problems are often posted online. Also, if you have a friend or family member who knows a lot about computers, they may be able to help you. And in that very last picture there on the bottom with that Google, they are looking up the problem that they're having. Keep in mind that most computer problems have simple solutions, although it may take some time to find them. For difficult problems or more drastic solutions may be required, like reformatting your hard drive or reinstalling your operating system. If you think you might need a solution like this, I recommend consulting a professional first. If you're not a computer expert, it's possible that attempting these solutions could make the situation worse. So you'd be able to contact me and I could help you out with that. So I hope you get a better understanding of basic troubleshooting techniques here. All right. Well, thank you. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. This class is done for you. You have completed everything there is to know about computers. This is all very basic information to help you get along. And you did a great job. So thank you so much for being a part of this stream class. You should be very, very proud of yourself for making it through. If you need any further assistance, you can contact me via email, phone number. If you are local, you can stop by the library here and just shoot a hi, how are you? I love it when people come and see me and leave little notes on my desk. So if you are not local and you're still having problems, just shoot me an email. We can always video chat and see what we can figure out for you. I do want to thank the following people and organizations. Without them, we would not have been able to have class today. So thank you to the following: Google Images, Screen-O-Matic, PowerPoint, GCFLearnFree.org, and myself for narrating. Again, thank you. You are taking the right steps to get yourself to know everything that there is about computers. So thank you so much.